Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. And thank you for each and every one of you for making us a part of your night tonight. Yes, that's right. It's Inside Arkansas Live after dark, as it's been a very busy day for Ryan Silverfield in his official introduction as the new Razorback football coach. And we're going to recap it all. We're going to have some clips, not only from him, but from Athletic Director Hunter Yurachek, get into some of the positives, some of the things that I think is worth discussing, and get to your chats, get to our heavy hitters. It's just Inside Arkansas Live just a few hours later in the day. But fellas, it's been a different day, but a good day, a fun day, and an interesting day. But how are the vibes here tonight on this Thursday night?
Not too bad. You know, this time exactly 24 hours ago, Trevin Brazile had scored 14 points and Louisville had scored 14 points. And now here we are 24 hours later, and it feels like so much more has happened. Enjoyed the press conference today. A lot of interesting information, a lot of stuff that we'll probably overanalyze. And obviously we just got back from the little public celebration or whatever it was they were calling it down there at the practice facility. So a lot to get into. Vibes are high. Looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know if that ceremony necessarily lit a fire under me necessarily, but it is a time of excitement. It's a good time to be a Razorback, a good time to be a human being because it's Christmas time, which is always nice. But yeah, coming off of a big win, you got a new era in Razorback football. You can't lose any football games for the next 9 months, which is really encouraging. And so this is a time to be excited for Razorback fans. So I hope people have been enjoying that today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a day that we kind of knew what was on the schedule, and we talked about how it was much different than any of the other schedules for other coaches that were being hired, and had some things that have come out since the announcement of the hiring, this being the official announcement. And we'll get to some clips. Again, we'll talk a lot about some of the stuff that came out of it, but I'm going to start by just asking you guys this, because everybody has their own expectation. Like for today, going into it, did it exceed your expectations? Was it better than what you thought? Was it about what you thought? Just everything from Yurachek to Silverfield to both things that happened today. Just what were you expecting, and was it what you were expecting?
Well, based on how we felt on Sunday and some of the things that we heard circulating around there about, you know, the new coach and everything, what we saw today massively exceeded my expectations. But everything Silverfield has done, really, for the most part, has been better than I was led to believe it would be. Now it's talking season for him right now. Like, we haven't seen him coach a football game yet, but he's kind of hit the ground running here. And so I would say I was very pleased with everything that he had to say today. I thought he had good energy. I like his vision. I'm kind of picking up what the man's putting down right now. So that's good stuff. Anxious to see how this continues to play out with the staff hires and the portal and all that. So he exceeded Hunter Yurachek right about exactly what I expected, for better or for worse. I think he pretty much addressed everything the exact way that I thought he would. But overall, for the day, I call it a net positive for sure.
Yeah, you know, when you're in this position of Ryan Silverfield, where you're now being introduced to a fan base and you're giving your first statements, your first public addresses of how this is going to go and what you're hoping to accomplish, it's really hard to do that, build excitement, and come across genuine. It's very easy in these situations to, oh, he's just coach speaking up there. Oh, he's just saying what everyone else says. He's saying what Chad Morris said. He's saying what Brett Bielema said. It's very easy to come across as disingenuous, but I do feel like Silverfield has accomplished convincing at least me. I don't know about how you guys feel, or maybe some fans feel differently, but he has seemed to me like a genuine dude who has a plan and has a vision. Now, will that plan and will that vision equate to wins in the SEC? Will it equate to an awesome transfer portal roster? I don't know, but I do think he's doing everything right so far. You know, it's been 4 days. The recruiting front, we've seen some good things, and I think he's saying most of the right things for the most part. And so I would agree with that assessment that I thought he did a good job for the most part today. I liked what I said from him, what he had to say, and I liked what I saw from him. And it's hard to look past the big announcement of Quincy Rose. Like, right off the bat, when you tell us that the best player on the team's coming back, that's a good way to kind of sell what you're what you're trying to sell it to us. Like, that's a good way to do it. So I was impressed overall. I agree with the assessment on Hunter Yurachek. We'll get into it in depth, I'm sure, but everything else outside of Ryan Silverfield about the U of A, about Hunter Yurachek, and all these things that we know, I don't view them any differently.
Yeah, and I had people that were kind of expecting me at least to going to this day extremely like maybe on the negative side, or maybe thinking it's like, well, this is just a big nothing burger. So I went in honestly open-minded about it all, because like we've talked about, it's like we see things and we react to it. If it's good, it's good. And if it's bad, it's bad. It's like, that's just the way it is. And so far, I think everybody is of the opinion, and rightfully so, that Ryan Silverfield's done a great job from what you can do in the first couple of days of your head coaching. I mean, we can't see him get on the field until next football season. But, as far as everything else, he's done a good job with it. I think the energy's been there. I think the appearance at Bud Walton Arena was awesome last night. I think that there's a lot of positives to take from it. And it's not to say that I wasn't expecting it. I just didn't know what to expect. I think it's always, you don't really know until you get there. You don't really know, a coach can do one thing when he sits down with another person and talks, or what he does when the media is there, or what he does when he's in front of a bunch of big time donors. I think he handled himself. I think that was probably the biggest thing, his consistency. He was as consistent in the interviews that he did, that he was in the follow that he did, that he was in the basketball game last night, that he did in the press conference, and then in the celebration. It was the same guy. I didn't look at him and be like, oh, he didn't handle this part well, but he did this. To me, it was like, I love seeing that, because it seems like it's a confident guy in himself, to where he doesn't feel like he has to change or has to do something different in front of whoever the audience is. He's like, I'm just going to be me, and I'm going to continue to be me. And that stood out to me really a lot.
I think he's settling in too. You know what I mean? Because as we were going through this entire coaching search, and I know we did a making the case for Silverfield, and we talked about him quite a bit along the way, and we wondered why everyone was maybe more excited about some of the other possibilities out there than him, given his track record and everything. And, we can talk all day about the resources he had at Memphis, what he did with it, whatever. I mean, we'll see how that all plays out here at Arkansas. But a lot of it was, we talked about it at the time, was like, from afar, he's got no emotion. Like, what's going on here? Like, there's not a whole lot of aura there. I don't know. And I just remember, seeing there were some good things about it, but like his interactions with Hunter on the stuff that they put out there, it's like the handshake and let's get the signature on the contract. I was like, it seems a little bit awkward. And then the Coach Cal video, which was cool, but he almost came across as starstruck. And I'm just like, man, are the lights going to be too bright for him? Ever since that point, I feel like he's nailed it. And you're right. I thought it was super genuine. The more and more interviews he did, the more comfortable you could see him getting. It's like he's starting to get the lay of the land a little bit. I thought the deal yesterday with the student section, all that was awesome. I thought he came across really well at halftime when he was doing his little speech. And guess what? He took some notes that were probably given to him from his hog call at Bud Walton Arena, and he translated them over to the one that he did tonight. He did a much better job. So he's continued to grow on me throughout this entire process. And I'm with you. I think there's a level of genuine there. I think there's a level of authenticity there that I appreciate. And I'm just anxious to see what this looks like when he starts coaching. I'm anxious to see what it looks like every time there's a new regime. Things change with the program, like the way they operate in terms of doing things. How visible are they going to be? Like, how accessible do they feel to the public? How can the fan base connect? A lot of that starts with the head coach, and a lot of his success here is going to be his ability to do that, to generate some interest and some support from boosters and donors. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But every day he seems to be getting a little bit more and more comfortable. Somebody needs to get in there and change his damn light bulbs for him in his office. He doesn't need to be doing that. Okay. He's too important of a man to be falling off of a ladder, but so far so good. I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, shout out to our buddy Andrew Hutchinson. We were talking with him after the ceremony happened, and he pointed that out as well, that he does seem to be settling in, and that today at the press conference, those first 2 or 3 minutes, you could kind of tell. I mean, look, it's a big moment, and I'm certainly not gonna knock a guy for being nervous, but he was very much nervous, speaking pretty fast. I think he messed up a couple words there. Settled in that press conference. I thought he answered some really good questions and some tough questions. I thought he answered them well. Ended up doing a great job. And then tonight, you mentioned the comfort that he feels. You can tell he's starting to feel a little bit more confident. And honestly, man, it's worth noting. You remember how panicked everyone was Sunday, including us. Yeah. We were all kind of like, whoa, this is crazy. This was not what we expected. It would have been very easy if I had told y'all on Sunday, hey, we're going to be doing this stream Thursday after they've introduced them, and we're all going to know that we're screwed. Y'all wouldn't have even batted an eye. You would have been like, yeah, that seems like a very real path. The fact that 4 days have gone by, and not only do we not feel that, we feel pretty good, and we actually feel like, dang, like this guy actually, we might have been a little too harsh. Like, this guy seems genuine. And one thing that I think is very important here is Because again, you can drum up excitement. You can go to the press conference today and say, guys, we're going to have the #1 offense in the country. We're going to have the best D coordinator in the country. We're going to have the best portal class in the country. We might win the SEC next year. And certainly that might drum up some excitement, but it's like, that's a tough sell for us. And if under your check it said, hey, we now have the best NIL collective in the SEC, that would have been a tough sell. And we'll get to Hunter Yurchek in a second. I'm teasing that. But I do think that what Silverfield is selling is not anything crazy. He's not sitting here pretending to be anything other than who he is, which is just a genuine guy who loves football, loves his family, and like that's what he's about. And he kept saying things about pouring into the young kids. And they asked him, what kind of guys are you looking for on staff? And he's like, I want all these guys to be, their first job is to serve the student athletes. We're going to help them reach their goals. We're going to outwork everyone in the country. Like, I think that premise and that package he is selling, I think it's a very good package. And I also think, we talk about the glitz and glamour and winning press conferences and winning the ceremonies and winning the public perception. Clearly, Arkansas is worried about that. And clearly, I'm sure Ryan Silverfield is thinking about that. But that doesn't seem to be his goal to me. Like, I don't think he's sitting here trying to lie to us and try and pretend to be anything other than he is. He is who he is, and he is a pretty low-key guy. He is a pretty chill, personality-wise. He can get fired up, but he's not this super rah-rah, crazy, over-the-top personality. But I think the players know that too. I don't think he pretends to be that to his players, which is what Chad Morris kind of did. And I thought it was cool. He kept looking over at the section that had all the players tonight at the ceremony. He kept looking over and pointing at them and referencing them. And obviously, there's probably players that were sitting there today who are going to be in the portal in a month, honestly. But he's sitting there and he's like, hey, I can't wait to do everything right by you that I can. And we still have all our questions about, is Ryan Silverfield going to overcome all these circumstances of the SEC, the NIL, and the university not supporting? I don't know, but I do know that what he can control, I do believe that he's going to put his heart and soul into it. I do believe that he's going to put his best foot forward, and we'll just see what that equates to. His best foot forward may end up being 6-6 and 7-5 every year. I don't know, but I do trust him and I do believe him when he looks us in the eye and he's like, hey, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to leave every stone. Like, I'm going to turn them all. I'm going to do what I can. I think it's a good message to send early on.
No doubt about it. And we're going to react to everything that was put forth when it comes to this press conferences or these press conferences that we heard from the day. We want to remind everybody that the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas is one of our great sponsors here on Inside Arkansas, because let's be honest, seeing is extremely important. There's nothing more frustrating than you having to try to read or having to try to watch TV or watch games that you're attending or street signs when you're driving. I mean, there's just so many things that your vision relies on. Never realize how bad it could be until it starts fading away. Well, don't worry about that, because the award-winning eye doctors and board-certified, professionally active doctors of the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas are going to have you covered. If you're needing cataract surgery before the end of 2025, well, make sure you make an appointment and get it done so that way you can make your holiday season be in clear view. They also do refractive surgery for patients. Any of you that may be struggling with your readers, your glasses, your contacts, they have surgery options literally for everyone. And you got to make sure you utilize your FSA benefits before the end of the year, which we're less than a month away from 2026. So you make sure you get that done. They have availability for these eye exams. You may think your vision is fine, but never hurts to double check. You never know. You can prevent some things from happening, and they have availability for that. And don't forget the Botox filler and IPL with their aesthetics provider, Olivia Rich. So no matter what your eyes need to improve your vision, the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas has you covered. So schedule an appointment today with them at 479-442-2020. That's 479-442-2020. You can also check out their website at the Eye Center or at eyecenternwa.com, eyecenternwa.com. It's the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas. So guys, we'll start with, you kind of allude to it, the good news that happened, which I would say is pretty shocking to a lot of us. And we'll play that clip where there was an announcement of us particular players coming back next season, being Quincy Rhodes as well as KJ Jackson. And here's how it went down in the press conference.
Quincy, you're all in for your senior year? Yeah. Let's go. KJ, you got something for us? I'm all in. Yes, sir. Let's go. Some good news to get this day going along with the press conference. So
you hadn't shared that with me. That's big news.
That's big news. Yeah, I was good. Keeping it on the edge. Let's go.
All right. So, guys, obviously, I don't know about the whole, I didn't even know that. But just look at the news, though, the reaction of the news. KJ Jackson, if you had told me that he was coming back next year, I wouldn't have been like, oh, my gosh, no way. I would have been like, okay, cool. That's, it's great and everything. Getting Quincy Rhodes back, it's shocking, like in the best of ways. Not because of the fact that he's just this bona fide top 10 pick, zero chance. I mean, this is a guy that's graded out, some cases being first round, second round, but no worse than third. You're talking about a guy who could get drafted in the top 3 rounds of the NFL. Most cases, you see, especially with a coaching change, all that, I'm out. But man, that's a great get. Maybe the best win so far of the Ryan Silverfield coaching situation at Arkansas, getting Quincy Rhodes back.
The great Trilly Donovan said the best gets are the ones you always had. So that's a good one there for Arkansas for sure. Every time I see Hunter Yurachek do that thing where I know he's acting or it's a little bit scripted, I'm always reminded of that bus thing that he did.
Yeah.
You're still here. But no, I think this is big time. Quincy, man, what was the biggest thing with Arkansas, this past season? We were like, good Lord, are they going to get a pass rush? Because they don't have anyone who's proven to do it, but we just continuously said, if there's anybody, it's Quincy Rhodes. Like, he has to take this massive leap forward. He exceeded all of our expectations, even when we knew how important it was for him to be good. And to get that back and to have that, you want to talk about a cornerstone, a foundation piece for your first defense when you're literally going to have to go out and get 7, 8 starters legitimately. I mean, you have to rebuild that entire thing. And so to get your best player back on that side of the ball when he would go make millions of dollars in the draft to go play in the NFL, like there's zero doubt that the dude would get drafted and he would get drafted in one of the first few rounds there, most likely. That's major, man. It's like, I don't know what they had to do to get that done, but I'm certainly happy they did. And then, yeah, it kind of answers some of our questions about the quarterback position, how they might navigate that. What's it going to look like? Is he going to go out and try to get, a stud from the portal? Does he have a guy picked out? Or is he going to lean in on the KJ Jackson idea? And it sounds like he's been impressed with what he's seen so far through film and talking to him and everything, enough to where he said, hey, we need you back here, buddy. And here he is. So a quarterback and an all SEC pass rusher announcing they're coming back in your opening press conference. That's definitely a big dub there for Ryan Silverfield.
I mean, guys, we did a show not too long ago, and we had a conversation, a 30-minute segment where we went through the whole roster and guys that we wanted back, guys that we thought might have a chance to come back. Quincy Rhodes is a dude we didn't even talk about because we thought that wasn't even on the table. We were like, that would be obvious, like awesome. Yeah, we would love to have the best player on the defense back, but we didn't think that was even an option. And frankly, if Quincy Rhodes had called me last night and asked for advice, I'd have been like, go get your money, young man. Go do what you got to do. So I don't know how Ryan Silverfield pulled that off. I think it says a lot about Quincy, frankly. And he even put out a statement today and said, this is what I think is the best thing to do. This is just what I think in my heart. This is what I need to do. I love that. I'm sure he's obviously not coming back for free. So I mean, it's not just out of the goodness of his heart. But you want to talk about an in-state kid who has gotten better every year he's been in college, has really bought into the program, really bought into the development, and now seems to be bought into this coaching staff. I think that's a really good sign. I think it's, if it weren't him, if he had gone on, there could have been other leaders emerge, but really love to get one of those out of the way real quick. And same for KJ Jackson. Silverfield spoke and mentioned, he said some players have expressed their desire to him. Hey, I want to take a leadership, step forward in the leadership department for this program. I want to kind of step up now. I want to be that guy that's leading my room. I believe KJ Jackson would probably fit that criteria. Said they've been watching film together. Said they've liked some things in his game. He's already familiar with his background, likes his talent, likes the way that he processes the game. Seems like those conversations, those meetings have gone well. And I said this yesterday when we were at Blue Ember. If Ryan Silverfield takes a look at the roster and takes his survey of the land and decides to go out and get a transfer quarterback, none of us should have an issue with it because that's his decision. It's whatever. He's running the program. He's building the offense. If he wants to build it around a certain type of quarterback and he wants to go out and get him, we should have no issue with that. But I also said if he looks at KJ Jackson and he meets with him and looks him in the eye and says, you know what, this is my guy, I also think we should be okay with that too. And I think KJ Jackson going into his redshirt sophomore year, like this is the time for him to sink or swim. I'm sure they're going to bring in some type of veteran presence to maybe challenge him, push him. But that was one of the things Silverfield mentioned that I loved. He said, KJ wants to be challenged. That was the thing. He looks at these players and he's like, hey, I'm going to push you as hard as I can. We are going to outwork every team in the country. And he even said, if some of those players look a little nervous when I say that, those aren't the guys you want. Seems like KJ Jackson responds to that challenge. And I love the leadership move of showing up to the press conference, sit in front row, showing up to the introduction today, sit in front row, being right there. Quincy Rhodes came in his Taki sweatpants. It was awesome. I love that. I mean, what better way to lead than to just say right off the bat, we ain't even going to have a discussion. We're back. I think that's powerful.
The Taki
Yeah.
sweatpants sent me, man. I'm so
That
glad
was
that you
crazy.
noticed that afterwards and he was walking around. We're like, wow, that's a dude that just he just got a bag for sure. He was chilling. We have
Yeah.
news. We have more news, by the way, and this is important. So I want to throw it in here real quick. Also returning, Maddox Laster.
Really? Did
Yeah.
he say something?
Hey, tweet it out. Hashtag all in. Hog,
Oh,
baby.
dude, that's huge.
Yeah,
That's
let's go.
massive.
Fullback,
Go.
quarterback, and D end. That's a
What's you need?
squad right there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, 7 wins at minimum now. 7 wins. No, that's big. But I'll be interested to see how the rest of the roster kind of shakes out. But to the point that you were making about like Quincy Rhodes, not to say that there was not any players or is not any players that we'd like to see back, but if you gave us the list of that still eligible players that could come back to Arkansas next year, I think everybody overwhelmingly would have said number one would have been Quincy Rhodes. But you, like you said, Andrew, we just didn't even think about it because it's like, that guy's going to the NFL. But that's huge to have is when you're getting the in-state kids, and then especially on at the side of the ball of defense, which you've struggled with, the defensive end spot. It's a good thing to build around. And the KJ Jackson thing, I brought it up the other day. And it doesn't sit here and be like, oh man, he's the starter, he's QB1, because as kind of the example that I thought about was when Pittman came in. People were like KJ Jefferson. We saw him a little bit as a true freshman and him getting there, and is he going to be the guy? Well, they said, hey, we're not going this. We're going to go get Felipe Franks, and then we'll see where it goes. And so I remember I gave a lot of respect to KJ Jefferson for doing that. And I'm wondering if with KJ Jackson, I don't think anything's been promised to him. At least I would assume not. I don't think anything's been said, hey, you're going to be QB1. But the wanting to be challenged, as you mentioned, that's what stands out to me. And that's what I'm hoping is actually true. I'm hoping that it is true that there is a challenge. But I also would like to see an additional portal quarterback. I'd like to see all that competition, because if you don't have that challenge, you say, oh, he wants to be challenged, but then you don't give him what he wants. You don't give him that challenge. Then suddenly it kind of puts you in a bad spot. So I am hoping that they go into the portal. I am hoping that they get a really good quarterback, or at least look at a really good quarterbacks. And I hope that is all true, where he does want to be challenged and may the best man win, because that's what we all want. We don't want to be guaranteed anybody giving the starting spot because, well, we paid this guy more in NIL. Like, no, make the best quarterback go out there. And if it's KJ Jackson, great. If it's a quarterback that's transferring from another school that's started this past year, great. I don't care. I just want the best quarterback that you can possibly get out there on the field. No questions asked.
I would almost guarantee they're going to go out and get a portal quarterback at this point. It won't be one of the top tier guys. I wouldn't imagine now, but I guess you could go a couple different ways about it. Like maybe you go get an SEC backup, or maybe you go get a guy who's played a lot of ball at the mid-major. What's mid-major? G5 level. Sorry, I'm still in basketball mode. And just have some competition there. You have to. Like it would be a dereliction of duty for them to not do that, because you never know, man. It's one hit, one freak accident, whatever, away from really being in a tough spot if they don't address that depth there with someone who's done this before. So I anticipate him to go out there and do it. Will it be a battle like Taylon Green and Jacoby Criswell was? I don't know, maybe, or maybe it'll be a true one. We'll see. But overall, I'm really excited that KJ is back. He looked good the last couple games there. He's been in the program for a while. Talented kid, good dude. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think we'll learn a little bit about, because I agree, they're definitely going to bring in somebody, but even if it's just a redshirt freshman who was on the Memphis roster, they're going to bring in somebody, and we'll learn their confidence in KJ based on who that is. If you bring in a quarterback who's like, was a legit starter somewhere, or like, has real SEC upside and experience, that would maybe tell you, okay, hey, they are not set on who they want. I think it would be kind of telling if he came with a quarterback that had just never really played. I'd be like, damn. So they really do believe in KJ. And again, I'll say, like, if that's his prerogative and that's how he feels, I wholeheartedly agree with what John said about getting the best guy you possibly can. But I also think this offseason is such a big moment for KJ Jackson in his development. One, because you're a redshirt sophomore. It's now your third year of college. That's about when it's time as a dog to start biting, that's where it's time to really, and by the way, he showed us some promise already. It's time for him to step up and be that guy. And I think if he's able to win over not only Coach Silverfield, that's a big deal. Also those guys in the locker room, also his teammates, if he's getting all these receivers who have been quote tweeting his tweets and stuff, he's getting them, they're running routes in the offseason. Like Petrino said, you roll out the balls and you just see who goes out there first. This is a good time for him to assert himself. What better time than now when you have a new era? There are no leadership positions set in stone. There are no team captains voted on. There is no hierarchy at all. KJ, go out here and show us who you are, man, for these next, 8-9 months or however long it is. Really assert yourself and take control of this program, and we'll get behind you, man, because we all agree whoever they come out of this with at quarterback, we're going to get behind them wholeheartedly. But obviously we will get behind them after the team gets behind him, after they vote him a team captain, after they say without a doubt, hey, yeah, that's our guy. I look forward to watching KJ do that this offseason.
Yeah, I do too. And we're going to have a lot more to talk about and get to the chat. You had something else, Curtis? I didn't know if you're...
I just, you remember when Isaiah Satania hit the transfer portal and everybody was like, he's terrible, worst wide receiver ever. Who cares? We're having the opposite overreaction here. I guess CJ Brown's coming back.
Okay, let's talk about that. Actually,
there's like 100 chats in here about it. I just don't have his Twitter. I was trying to find it. I don't see anything there. I know he was at the press conference and everything. Maybe he put it on IG or something. But we were talking about guys who could come back and who you would want back, and he was definitely one of those in the wide receiver room. I hope that's true. I haven't seen a post or anything confirming it myself.
The only thing I've seen, shout out to our guy Jackson Fuller, who tweeted this out, and it was a picture of the four of them. It had Quincy there, KJ Jackson, CJ Brown, and Ryan Silverfield all in the picture.
Okay, gotcha.
So I don't, I'm sure and plus this is at the press conference. If you're CJ Brown, why are you going to the press conference if you're not going there? I'm with you where I'm like, I'll take everyone at their word. I'll take him at his word. And obviously that's a guy you want to have back. I mean, I don't know if I'm sure he's your leading returning receiver, right? Because he had 300, 400 yards or whatever, a few touchdowns. I can't imagine anyone currently on the roster has more than that.
We'll pencil him in. We won't Sharpie it.
There you go. Yeah.
Give us a statement, CJ Brown. Release a statement.
Yeah, we'll assume he's playing until he's not here. So, but yeah, we'll continue to discuss that. By the way, our intern Cameron, who's our producer, coming in the late night hour, he says, checked Instagram and Twitter and saw nothing. Pretty sure one of the Instagram fan pages posted it, but never saw anything official. So there you go. But if it does become official,
28 receptions, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns this year.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that's not quite what Isaiah Satania had as a redshirt sophomore last year, but not terribly dissimilar. And I think that's more than what Isaiah Satania had in his second year in the program. So it's I'm not saying he's Isaiah Satania, but
hey, sign me up for that arc.
That's a guy. I mean, that's a guy who has caught passes in the SEC, caught touchdowns in the SEC, and he's an in-state kid, and he seems to be bought in, and he has a relationship with your quarterback potentially. Yeah, I'm no disagreements for me. Bring him in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll get into the real meat of finances, the real boring stuff here in just a second. I want to remind everybody, OZK Insurance, though, they're going to save you the money. They're not going to be talking about the money. They're just going to be saving it for you because they are all about the insurance, because no one wants to deal with the hassle of shopping it all around, trying to find the best deal, because there's a lot of moving parts to go along with it. But that's why we always will recommend OZK Insurance, because they're based right here in Arkansas, and they shop multiple carriers to find the best coverage and price for you, whether it's home, auto, business insurance, you name it, they do it. And listen, anytime that you're having to deal with insurance and you're trying to make sure that you can have the best coverage, well, you also need the combination of cost and coverage, which saves you time and money. That's what OZK does for you. And if you don't believe us, take it from the entire world on Google, because they have over 600 5-star Google reviews. That's right, over 600 5-star Google reviews. They're doing that because they are the best in the business. So start today with a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com. That's ozkinsurance.com. Or you can call them at 479-715-4200. That's 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. All right, guys, there's a lot of different parts to this. In fact, when it comes to the discussion of what was done on the press conference from today, the overwhelming majority of it was about the money. And in fact, Yurchek, pretty much the only thing he was asked about was the money, maybe a little bit of the coaching search. Of course, he didn't go into too much of that. So there's a lot of different pieces of this finance situation that we're going to get into. And also Ryan Silverfield talked a little bit about his fundraising. But we'll go ahead and start with, this is just several clips compiled, but we'll stop it in the middle of it and talk about it, because it's always about, have you improved your financial situation? Have you improved it? Is it better than what it was before under Sam Pittman? So let's go ahead and hear from Hunter Yurchek and a few of the things surrounding it and dealing with better financials.
It's our competitive advantage, not to give details of what that is, other than to tell you that it is a significant investment in all aspects of our football program that will move us to the top half of spending in all those categories I mentioned in the Southeastern Conference. And I don't believe we need to be at the top of spending. We need to be somewhere where we're really competitive. And Ryan and I are on the same page with where we are. It allows him to go out and hire the assistant coaches that he believes he needs to hire to build a championship program, and to invest in our revenue sharing and legitimate NIL to make sure that we acquire the best talent for our roster.
Okay, so stop right there, guys. This was kind of the first question, really diving into it a little bit about the improving of it. And they talk about the investment. They say that the top half of the SEC, I think, is the key ingredient here, which, because there's 16 teams, we're talking about top 8 roughly in spending and dealing with rev share and, quote, legitimate NIL. So what'd you make of the comments about getting to that point, being top half, and also the legitimate NIL aspect?
I hope that is true, but based on some of the other responses he had that I know we'll get into, I'm still skeptical. I'm still exactly where I have been, boys, of do I think Arkansas's financial situation and the resources into the football program are going to be improved? Yes, I absolutely do. Do I think it's going to be to the level that might be portrayed or that people are hoping? That I'm not so sure. And from the sounds of it, that's not quite secured just yet. So we'll see what it looks like. And Hunter gave us some parameters there to follow. I find it interesting that he didn't want to give any details because he didn't want to give away any competitive advantage. So we're not going to tell you what we have, but I know what everyone else has to be able to get us in the top half there. Are we assuming that none of the other SEC schools are going to be putting more resources into their programs, especially Auburn and Florida and LSU and Kentucky, like all these other schools that have been open there? A lot left there for interpretation, but I'm not going to get too hung up personally on the specifics there of what he was saying for 2 reasons. One, because I do believe that it's going to be improved, and I just don't think there's going to be any way for us to know how much until we start seeing some of these other things he laid out there with the staff and the portal and everything like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think you kind of, I hate to say it, have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. And you also have to look closely at what he said.
Yeah.
Because he says they're going to be in the top half of the SEC in quote unquote legitimate NIL. Well, one, what is legitimate NIL? What is illegitimate NIL? I know we have our theories, but that is not a real sentence. That is not a real thing. That is not something that can be measured. How do you look at what Georgia's doing and say, well, they spent $23 million in real NIL and $17 million in fake NIL? So I not only don't believe, I just don't think he is that Arkansas is in the top half of that. I don't believe that Hunter Yurchak has any way of verifying that, because to the same point you guys made, you don't know what anyone else is spending. You obviously won't say what you're spending, which, by the way, I don't have a problem with. Sure, like we make fun of Kentucky for leaking reports that they have a $22 million basketball roster. I'm cool with you not disclosing that money. I don't have a problem with that, but you can't also say, but I do know what everyone else is spending, and I know we're in the top half. I would assume what he's actually referencing is assistant coaches' salary and your support staff and whatever, which I would be very pleased to hear that Arkansas is in the top half. The problem with this is, one, your coach is 15th in the SEC in head coach salary. So we know you're not top half in that. That has already been disclosed. These numbers are going to get disclosed. We will find out soon who your defensive coordinator is, who your offensive coordinator is, what they're making, where that ranks in the SEC. So you better be in the top half, frankly, because we're going to see those numbers. And if you lie about those, we know you're lying about the numbers that we couldn't possibly know the answer to. So honestly, like, we always take these guys at their word. We're going to find out the answers real soon. And for his sake, Arkansas better be in the top half of the SEC. That's all I'll say.
And just real quick, the one number we do know is, it is what Ryan Silverfield's making, which is ahead of only Jeff Lebby in the SEC. So we don't know about Vanderbilt with Clark Lee. It's a private school, but I imagine he's probably making more than that given what he's done there. So if you're bringing up the rear in head coach salary, pardon me for just being a little bit skeptical and having a wait and see approach that you're going to be in the top half of the league and literally everything else.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so again, we'll have actually a separate clip, but Hunter Yurchak was directly asked by Jackson Fuller of the proof of it and where the proof's going to come, which I think is a huge point. But yeah, it was great stuff. Shout out to the media real quick. The media
Yes.
did a good job in their questions today. Like,
Sure,
and
yeah.
that's not to say that I went in thinking that they were just going to be like, oh, what's your favorite color? And like, but it was, they did a really good job of pressing on the issues that I think a lot of people were interested in, especially about finances. That's why there were so many clips about it. So I think they did a really good job with it. But continuing on, because he's also going to talk about the allocation of it and fundraising it, and then what changed. But here's continuing with Hunter Yurchek talking about the finances.
We're not to the finish line, but I will tell you from a fundraising standpoint, we're off to a great start. What the athletic department is going to commit is significant, and that's how we're going to kind of reallocate some of the dollars that we have. The university, through a direction of the board, is going to make a commitment to our football program as well, and all of that's significant. I don't want to tie a specific dollar amount to any of that because I don't want to limit what we can do. And also I want to make sure that we have a competitive advantage. I think once you put your financials out there and tell other schools what you're doing, then it allows them the opportunity to come meet you where you are or exceed where you're at.
Okay, so he kind of went into what you were talking about, the competitive advantage, but I think it's key because we were talking about this on our way to the celebration. Not to the finish line yet, but they got to a great start. But what is the finish line? Like how far? Because that is it's a vague thing, and maybe it was done on purpose. Maybe they're right there by saying they're at the finish line. We don't know because, like he said, we're not going to give the dollar amounts and all that. But it's a matter of, okay, so is it something that you're just waiting on to continue to fundraise and asking people? Is it something that you just haven't cashed the check yet because somebody needed to post date it for 2026? Is it because how far is it? That I think is an interesting point to where it wasn't like this whole thing of like, we have this entire plan and we presented it with Silverfield and he took it based on that plan. It's sounding like, and I'm not trying to say it could be bad because it could end up being great, but it sounds like that there wasn't an actual presentation of this is how much you're going to deal with. It's like, here's our goal of what we know we think we can get. And we're getting there. We're almost there, but we still need some things to happen.
Yeah, we will have the answers to these questions once we see the staff that's put together, because we'll get those contract details, and once we see how this roster plays out. Right now, I mean, Hunter he's between a rock and a hard place because of he dug his own hole with the things he said at the touchdown club, and there's a lot of heat on him for that. That's why he says championship football program every time he can get in front of a microphone. Now he said that over and over and over. Hey, sorry everyone, I know I pissed you off, but I believe that we can do this. And he's talking about the significant financial commitment over and over. He has to do those things. He has to be able to sell that. But at the same time, it's just like it was in the Calipari intro presser when he did the thing where he's like, hey, I know this stuff is going around out there, but this money's not in the bank yet. And we still need more, because you don't want to give off the impression that you have everything that you need, because you never do. That's never a thing. You always need more. There's always a starvation for cash when it comes to funding an SEC football program. So he's got to figure out the balancing act for that. I think that's part of what he was trying to do here. I lean more on the side of skepticism just because of his track record and what we know about Arkansas football here over the last several years. So we'll see, what that winds up looking like there for Arkansas. I have heard, and so, take it for whatever it's worth, that there were reports out there that Arkansas was trying to invest $40 million into the program from a resource standpoint over a 4-year period. Maybe it was Trey, I think, that put that out there. I have heard that maybe they've got a year's worth of that so far. And so do I expect them to have all of that overnight? No, I don't. And maybe that's something that's improved since you hired the coach and he's been able to talk to some people. I imagine you get the new hire bump and everything a little bit, but as I understand it, they've got a ways to go there. We'll see what winds up happening. But again, I just keep going back to, until I start seeing, the staff that's going to blow everybody away, and we're going to go out and get the best recruiting class in the country, and we're going to win right away because of this roster. Yeah, sorry. I'll see it when I believe it.
I'm with you. I wonder if maybe that's what he was referencing when he said the finish line, is maybe that he's referencing that goal of 40 million or whatever. And I'm with you, John. Like, what does that mean? I don't understand what the finish line is. Is it a specific dollar amount? I'm cool with him not saying that or whatever. I think there are going to be a lot of people who watch these clips and they say, Hunter Yurchek is lying. And I want to clarify clearly, he is not lying. because he is not saying anything. If you really pay attention closely, every single sentence he says is not really a real sentence. It's like kind of just vague terminology to throw you off the scent, which we all know. Like we know someone personally that does that, that says weird terminology to kind of throw you off the scent so that they sound smart, where he's like, hey, yeah, that we're reallocating money and it's significant. That's not a real sentence. Like that is not he didn't say anything there. He didn't say, hey, we now are in a good position and we now have changed our situation. We have moved up. And I know he gave the whole top half thing, but like reallocating money and the compensation is significant. These are just vague terms that he's using specifically. And because he doesn't want to put himself in a hole because we hold his feet to the fire every time. He purposely said nothing in a lot of these clips just so that he can't have it blow up in his face, frankly.
Reallocating money from where is what I want to know. Like
Hutch did ask about. And Hutch literally asked him, do you have that clip, John?
Yeah, it's about to play.
Okay.
He does not answer the question. Just pull the clip.
Yeah. This is actually the final clip of this compilation. That's why I was going to stop you. I was like, we'll just hear from him because Hutch did ask him about the allocation and where it's going. Here's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the board's had some significant discussions internally as a board, so I can't speak to those discussions. I was not a part of that. I provided some financial data to them. They asked the university to make a commitment. They asked the athletic department to reallocate dollars to make a more significant commitment. And then Ryan White, the executive director of the foundation, and his team and myself, we've been working for the last 30 to 45 days on that fundraising trail.
So real quick, I just want to make the point that I'm not expecting, and I know that we're not expecting your check to come out and be like, here's the dollar amount.
Sure.
Like that's not the expectation. And I know like for sure, I get why he's saying what he's saying. Like, I'm not saying he's wrong for saying it. I'm just saying, I know why, because it's like, you don't want to say it's a certain amount. You don't want to say anything like that, but because like you said, Curtis, the track record of where it's at, this is where the skepticism comes in of, okay, that sounds great, but what does it mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like what you said, Andrew, is like, it's not saying anything. It's the right thing to say, but significant. What's significant? What is a significant amount? What is a significant? Is it more than what it was? Okay, that's great. But then how much more? There's this nuance to it to where I hope it's a significant amount more. I hope it's double, triple. Because I think that would have gone maybe a little bit further if he said, oh, we've gotten double the amount, which I'm not saying he would have, but that would have been like, okay, well, that's a lot. But the significance and stuff is just kind of, again, not expecting him to ever give a dollar amount because that would be dumb. That would be very stupid of him to do that. But it's just still, you don't really know how to take it right now.
I don't know how else to word it. I mean, he literally said the board had conversations that were significant. Now, I can't tell you what they said because I wasn't privy to those conversations. I wasn't in the room, but those conversations were significant. That I don't know what to do with that, frankly.
Yeah, and I see some of this in the chat, and I understand the sentiment of, because he did say something along the lines of basically reallocating, like maybe a different distribution from sport to sport and operating costs and everything like that. Well, from what? You know what I mean? Like what other sports on campus are going to make a dent in what you can provide to football? The answer is there's really only one, and that's men's basketball. You think they're going to take anything out of John Calipari's operating budget? You think they're going to cut into his revenue share pot? No, they're not. I'm just telling you right now, they're not going to do that. They're going to do that to DVH, given the circumstances that we know about over there. I'm going to guess probably not. He's probably not going to mess with that man. So where is that going to come from? I want to know. Like you just had to fire, what was it, 10% of the like 18 people over there or whatever before this season, just so you could meet those revenue sharing goals now. And then we're coming off of a year here where did the raffle do what you needed to do? Did you have as many asses in seats for this 2-10 football season that you hoped you would? Were the concession sales and everything where it needed to be? So I short of like major donations, I don't know where that's going to come from. So when he's talking about moving things around within the athletic department, I just have a hard time figuring out exactly where that's at. That's going to be anything that's tangible.
That's spot on, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. But listen, the biggest question was about the proof, and I do want to bring that up because I think that's the very, very important part to all of this. But I want to remind everybody that Hickey and Hole Law, I'll tell you what they'll prove to you. They'll prove that they're the best in business when it comes to taking on all of those divorce and custody cases that are far too important to face alone. You need to have that persistent and diligent representation to guide you through the entire process, because they've handled thousands of family law cases and have experienced nearly every scenario that may have come up. And the foundation of that strong attorney-client relationship is built on honesty and trust. You want somebody to be honest. You want somebody you can trust, because they're going to guide you through every step of the way and make sure you're protected in each and every one of those cases. And it's not just divorce and custody, but they do criminal, civil litigation, personal injury cases, estate planning cases. They literally do it all. They have offices across the entire state of Arkansas, and you can call them today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhull.com. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. Now, guys, again, there was a lot of stuff that came from the press conferences and everything today. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I think we're kind of on the same page. Shout out to Jackson Fuller asking this question. I even told him when I saw him at the celebration, I said, dude, thank you for asking that question. Because if there is one thing that fans, because, we like to say we're with the fans, rock with the fans and everybody, the fans want to know, you could say things, but how can we know? You can say significant increases, but how do we know it's better? Well, he was asked about where's the proof? Hunter Yurchek, where's the proof in all this, and how can fans see the proof? Here's what his response was.
It will come when he announces some of the people on his staff. That will be the first piece. And then when you see how our roster comes together after the transfer portal officially opens in January, you see we've got a couple of young men in here that are coming back. That's a part of the financial commitment that we've made into our football program to be able to retain those high caliber.
Wait a minute. Did he not? I'm not even kidding. Did he not just 10 minutes ago pretend to be surprised by the news of Quincy Rhodes and KJ Jackson, which
yes,
I'm inclined to believe is BS. I would imagine he knew. How are you going to be like, wow, I didn't know that 5 minutes ago, and then say that they are proof? That is proof that we have made a financial commitment. Both of those things cannot be true. Continue, Hunter.
Very talented young men that we want to be a part of our program and the leaders of our program. And so I think when you look at what the staff looks like, the support staff as well, and then the players that become a part of this program, that will show you the financial commitment we've made to our football program.
Okay, so starting with this, I will, for one, actually 100% agree with Hunter Yurchek, because let's be honest, that's how we know where the finances are at. That's how I've said this before. I remember when back what was KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders, when they returned, and everyone was coming out and saying, oh, Arkansas's broke. They have no money. I was like, listen, you're not getting KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders back if you have $0. Like those guys are not getting attention and saying, hey, come to this school, we'll pay you $1.5 million. And they're like, nah, I'd rather stay at Arkansas for $250,000. Like, no, that's not happening. So we all know where the finances come from. And that's, I guess, maybe the best thing is we don't have to have the dollar amount. We see what actually is going on. And the staff, we do know the dollars for them. And then, of course, the transfer portal and everything, it's there. But kind of to the point you brought up, Andrew, there, and seeing the situation that it's in, we're going to find out here shortly. But I mean, do you guys, of course, agree not only with the proof of it, but do you think that saying that, at least he understands that that's where it's going to come from?
Sure. I'm struggling with some of this. Here's the thing, boys, is I have such a hard time taking anything to the bank, like giving the benefit of the doubt to anything Hunter says at this point. I would like to, and I hope that he's right, or he's telling the truth about a lot of things he's saying here. So like I'm very skeptical and standoffish from that standpoint. But I want to believe in Ryan Silverfield, and I want to be optimistic with what he's saying. And he took the job. You know what I mean? It's like there's all those factors. So I feel kind of stuck in the middle on some of these things, which is difficult. I don't know. I'm torn. I keep going back and forth on some of this stuff here.
Well, so it would be, because I'm with you, John, that there's nothing Hunter could point to right now and say, here is an example of our money being spent, or here's an example of the financial commitment we've gotten, because a lot of that hasn't been spent, hasn't been determined, all that. And so there's not much you can point to. So I do sympathize with that. But at the same time, this is the trend that we've been seeing with this program for several years now. We were very hard on Sam Pittman in his press conferences because he would always allude to this future where everything is going to be beautiful. And that's what Sam Pittman, that kept him employed for multiple years. I'll never forget in 2023, when you lose to Mississippi State, they have this horrible year. They have a press conference midweek, and he says, hey, I've had some conversations. And this is Sam Pittman. He's like, I've had some conversations. I am inclined to believe that going into this next offseason, we are going to have a way bigger financial commitment than we've had before. I think we are going to have way more people step up. And I remember writing stories about that. This is back when I was writing. And then the portal rolls around and we found out that obviously wasn't true. Then we heard, hey, yeah, we're going to have this new commitment and rev share is going to help us. And that's going to help narrow the gap. And that's going to level the playing field. That's what Sam Pittman kept saying. And we kept kicking the can down the road. And he kept the whole time alluding to this magical future where we're going to see the results. And that's, again, what Hunter Yurachek is doing here. And I admit he has no choice but to do that because there's nothing he can point to right now. And that's not his fault. But again, once it comes down to like, we're going to see the numbers for this support staff. You told us it was going to be top half of the SEC. It better be top half of the SEC only because you said that. If you didn't say that, we wouldn't have necessarily, like if they had, the numbers came out and it turns out actually Arkansas's 10th in the SEC in support staff spending, I wouldn't have been thrilled about that, but I wouldn't have like thrown a huge fit because that's about what I expect. But now that you've told us to expect top half, we're going to expect it. And so you say we're going to find out with this roster and with what you do in the portal. Well, that's going to happen next month. So we'll find out and we'll just see. And we had this exact same conversation last year. And then the portal season rolled around and we found out, oh, wait, no, we're actually still going after Sunbelt guys. And so that's just what it is. I am very skeptical that Ryan Silverfield is about to bring in a roster full of transfers from Power 4 schools. And that's not a knock on Ryan Silverfield. I think he's going to do a great job. I think he's going to do a good job recruiting the portal. I just don't think that's where Arkansas is at right now. So I think it's very interesting that Hunter Yurachek is now setting that stage and saying, you're going to see it in portal season. I would like to see it. I'm very skeptical, but I would love to be proven wrong here.
We almost have to have a like grand slam defensive coordinator hire too at this point. Yeah. Like with the way they're talking about that and the staff, this, staff, that, and then even Silverfield too, who was just like, guys, you're going to be blown away. Like some of the guys that we're going to be bringing in here, their SEC experience and everything. I'm like, who the hell is he getting ready to hire? The way that he's talking there, and you can't oversell that much and then underdeliver. Yeah. And I'm just saying that because it makes the most sense that if they were going to really overpay, we've talked about this, that it would be to go get a defensive coordinator. That's what I have my eyes on for, because that'll happen before the portal. That'll be the first like miniature indication of where things are actually at here is going to be who he brings in as his DC. And we'll see about the other names and stuff like that that watch on the staff. But that's the most important one to me.
Well, we spoke about this the other day on the show, and I remember someone pushed back and they said, well, so we're not going to spend on the roster, and we're not going to spend on the coach, but we're going to spend on the DC. I'll believe it when I see it. And I was like, well, you did see it in 2019. We're now back there where that's kind of where we're at. Is Hunter Yurachek is at the press conference saying, hey, I know we're paying our coach 15th out of 16 SEC teams in salary, but we are going to overspend on the support staff, and we are going to overspend on our coordinators. Well, we're going to see. Like it does seem like they're not going to go with the splash hire on the OC front. Mm-hmm. Do we agree on that? So yeah, DC, there is now a lot of pressure on this hire, which there was no matter what. But now it's like, now that you've come right out and said it, that was your plan, is to underspend everywhere else and overspend on the assistant coaching staff. Well, that assistant coaching staff's going to have to be pretty damn good.
Well, and to me, that's the most important thing about this quote, is just because it gives, beforehand, we know that it's about the portal and about the coaching staff and all that. But now this is a confirmation that that's how Yurachek views it too. Like, that's not something to where, oh, well, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, or you don't know what's going to what. It's like, no, he understands that too. He understands that that's where it goes. That's how you know. And because that is one of the few things with this whole crazy NIL world of the barometer of it all, we have a good example of it. We have a really good feeling of it. And I think that that's just crucial. I think it's crucial to this entire situation of just knowing that not only is it going to be the proof in the pudding, but the athletic director knows that's the proof in the pudding and knows that if it's not that, then, because here's my thing, I'm about the messaging. I've always been about the messaging. And if you don't come out, we're sitting here in April or whatever, and we're looking at this staff and we're looking at this roster and we're saying, hey, I don't know about this, or this may be a little bit different. It's not to say that it's for sure going to not work out, but it's going to be one of those of like, well, bamboozled again, got told that this was all better and it's not. Like, whether it's right or wrong, that's the way people are going to feel, because they are still continuing to hang on by a thread as far as their trust and everything. And if they get told all this, and as you talked about, not delivering on it, you're going to continue to have the fans just be like, okay, here we go again. It's the same song, different verse, just cater to a different thing. So I'm hoping that they have more of the money. I'm hoping that they really blow people away with this staff. I hope so. And we'll react to it in real time. But this is why it's important. And that's why it's so important to answer that question, is because now you as the fans, you'll be able to see exactly if they're telling the truth or not about this whole financial situation.
Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to Hunter Yurchek for opening the celebration by thanking Bobby Petrino today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's throw that out there.
Kind of,
Did no one else think it was weird? Everyone I talked to didn't react when I said it, but like he literally, it was the word for word exact same speech. If you go back and watch the press conference and watch the introduction ceremony, both of which are available on the internet, it is the exact same speech. It's the same exact piece of paper he's reading from. I thought that was interesting. Not interesting. I just was like, why are we allowing this to happen? Like, why are we even doing this? Why are you redoing the speech? We already heard it.
Yeah, I think tonight was more for those big donors, because that's who I saw in there was a lot of big donors, and it was just for them. It was about the TV stuff. Because I guarantee you, not a single one of those people watched the press conference or are going to watch the press conference. They're there to shake hands, kiss babies, and say Larry, you Stitch, I got to get you on the Anderson account. That's all they're going to care about is that stuff. So I think it was more for them. But you're right. There was a lot of kind of the repeated type deal that was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some interesting quotes, because this one is also a big one too, because I know we'll get to some of your chats, folks. Really appreciate you all locking in and talking with us here. But I want to remind everybody, Alumni Hall is the ultimate Razorback shopping experience when it comes to all of your Razorback apparel. I can tell you, looking at the celebration tonight, a lot of Razorback fans love themselves some Alumni Hall, because it's incredible to see the amount of Razorback apparel that is available for purchase, and you can't get it anywhere else. The high-end stuff. We're talking about Johnny O, talking about Columbia, talking about Southern Tide, talking about all of that great stuff in store right over there at Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. For men, for women, for kids, they have everything you could possibly imagine and more. And the greatest thing about it is you can shop them online and have it delivered straight to your door if you can't make it to Fayetteville by going to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. That's insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen as well. And then if you do go in store, folks, in store only, you get to use that Hogs by 20 for 20% off your purchase. That's right. Hogs by 20 for 20% off. It is Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. So, guys, this was another thing that stood out to us and stood out to a lot of people, that Yurchek and Silverfield had this as an interaction, talking about something that happened last night at the basketball game for Ryan Silverfield. Big news coming in about some significant money.
Know this yet. So he was in the courtside club last night, and he was doing what he does in building relationship with donors right off the bat. He walked away from one donor. The donor came up to me and committed to a 7-figure gift to our football program, just with a brief 5-minute encounter. He didn't even know he'd done that.
Like I gotta go meet some more people. I'll see you.
I think you see kind of the personality he has, and he can quickly build relationships and sell his vision to our fan base.
So first off, I'm going to sit and be honest. I'm not saying that didn't happen, because that may have very well happened. It may have very well. I don't know one way or the other, but it is one of those things where I'm like, there is zero chance that that's the first time that Ryan Silverfield, because I'm telling you right now, if I was an athletic director and I have a new coach and I find out last night or whenever that a 7-figure donation or whatever has been given, the first person I am calling up, be like, my man, let's get some drinks, take some shots. Cheers to you. That's the first thing. So I'm like, man, the fact that you waited until the press conference, it's almost like wanted it just to be heard and get a reaction to it. So, but again, I'm not being too petty and too weird about it, but it's just funny how that transpired and how that was mentioned there.
Yes, Hunter Yurchek, had no idea that Quincy Rhodes and KJ Jackson were returning. And Ryan Silverfield had no idea that we got a 7-figure donation last night. That's it's whatever. I understand what they were trying to do there. Like it's a PR stunt type of thing. Most likely, I imagine, because I'm with you. I have a very hard time believing that's the case. Do I believe that Arkansas got a 7-figure gift for their football program last night? Sure. Why not? New coach. He got the big ovation from the students. Everybody's fired up about it. He did his thing at halftime. People are excited because they're at that basketball game. Coach Cal and the boys are kicking ass. Yeah, I believe that happened. Do I believe that Hunter I had so much going on, I just forgot to tell you about the millions of dollars added into our program until conveniently when we're here in front of the press. Come on, man. You can do better than that. By the way, I love Ryan Silverfield, though. he's got my kind of sense of humor right there. Like, that was funny. He was like, oh, well, see, I guess I better go talk to some more people. Folks just don't know him yet. You know what I mean? Because you might look at that and be like, oh, yeah, the dude's kind of, I don't know about that, but he's got some quirk to him that I kind of like. I think it was Trey that asked him about what makes you weird, or, you know, like what's different about you, because you have to be that way to be an SEC coach. And he was like, you guys will just find that stuff out as you get to know me a little bit better. And I think low key, I kind of believe that. So funny stuff all around. Like, that was, again, I believe that about as much as I believe that Hunter didn't know about those two guys coming back.
Yeah, the truth is what we all can agree on. You know, the truth is not a real thing. It's just what we all agree happened. And we all agree that he did tell, like, if that did happen, that Ryan Silverfield knew about it fairly immediately, or definitely is before they sat down. Maybe he knew about it when they were having the conversation about Quincy Rhodes. But honestly, I got to be honest with you, whether this is a lie or not, I really don't care. I just like that now that Hunter Yurachek is lying about good things, you know, like he's lying about things that make his head coach look good. Like, if you're going to tell a lie, at least tell a lie that makes your head coach look like a cool guy. And I'm cool with that narrative getting out there. I mean, this is the beginning of that narrative that, yeah, Ryan Silverfield, he really connects with the state. He connects with the donors, and everybody believes in this guy. Like, whether that's true or not, I'm okay with that being a narrative. I mean, you think about it, like Clark Lee. If I were to ask you, hey, do the boosters of Vanderbilt believe in Clark Lee? Both of you would say yes. Have you spoken to any boosters at Vanderbilt? No, but you just know. You're like, they believe in Clark Lee. They're rolling at Vanderbilt. Clearly, they're 10-2. Clearly, they're paying their quarterback a lot of money. We all agree. And so it's like, you know, I'm just happy that, you know, if we're going to start spinning narratives, at least make the narratives be good about Arkansas football and good about our coach.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is like, it's good to approach it in a certain way. It's good to have it done a certain way. It's good to do all of this. It's just a matter of, you know, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, man. You know, like, just don't do stuff like this. But again, I'm about progression. I'm about baby steps, man. Like, this whole thing, when I had my crash out, and I've been saying this to everybody, it's like, I'm going to call out good things and give credit. Like, I will. And that's what I'm hoping happens here. And, you know, when he got the in-state kids, that was a great thing. Awesome. The way he's handled himself in this press conference, I'm about Silverfield. Awesome. You know, the way that he's approaching it to being kind of like that guys you were mentioning, Curtis, of just very relatable and very fun. Awesome. Like, this is the stuff I love. He's done a phenomenal job in the first few days that he has been the head coach. He's been about as good of a job as you could ever ask for right now. But it's just a matter of the rest of it behind the scenes, behind the curtain. Is it going to be better? Because I got not in an argument, but somebody brought it up to me on Twitter where they were just like, well, I think it's a little bit more than just money. I was like, actually, it's not to me. It's not, because I don't care how good of a coach you are. If you don't have the money, it doesn't matter. And Silverfield, I think he could be a phenomenal coach. There may be coaches that are better, maybe coaches you rather have preferred. That's fine. But it's about setting the coach up for financial success. And if you didn't do that for Pittman, and you admitted that you didn't do that for Pittman, then how do people expect you to do it for Silverfield? That's where the skepticism comes into play. And that's where it's like, I get it. You got to say what you got to say. But I still am going to be in this, just like all of us, in the wait and see mode and see if this actually is true.
And I would throw this out there. Maybe circumstances and environments and situations can change. But if you read what Memphis folks are saying, who've, you know, been with them for the last 10 years and everything like that, if we are to believe them, who are more experienced with Ryan Silverfield than we are, this has nothing to do with him as a great man, high character, the type of dude you want representing your program. No doubt about that. But it sounds to me like the money has to be there for him to have success, because a lot of what people are talking about over there is he had more resources than all of his peers that he was competing against and did less with it than other coaches who have been there, or relative to the expectations or whatever. I know he had back-to-back double-digit win seasons. They slid back at the end of this past year, but that was the knock from everyone over there. And there was like this weird sense of frustration that was over there, and that's what it was about. And it wasn't about his ability to fundraise. It wasn't about the ability for him to have resources. It was about the ability of him to maximize that. So to me, I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, well, yeah, we already knew for Arkansas that the financial situation was going to be super, super important, but he's going to need that and some, you know, if all these other people are right. Now, so far, a lot of the things that I had heard, you know, going into this hire, my personal observation is like, I don't think that's that, that bad. Oh, he's actually impressing me this way relative to what I was told. So maybe that's some hat too. But at the end of the day, that was kind of the bugaboo with him, right? So I think that stuff's got to be there, and then we'll see how it all plays out on the field.
Yeah, we've definitely heard that from the Memphis folks, and I'm, whether they're right or wrong, it's definitely something that I've thought about and considered. I'm always skeptical anytime someone says they try to diminish an accomplishment by saying this accomplishment only happened because X, Y, and Z, and then they list out things that the accomplishment were like dependent on. Like I remember whenever Alex Golish's name first started getting floated around, and I had a Razorback fan tell me, well, he's only winning at South Florida because he's got that quarterback Byron Brown, and he's got this big, fast, athletic quarterback, and they built their whole offense around him, and that's the only reason he's winning. And I'm like, why would that dissuade me from Alex Golish? Because like, why wouldn't he just get another big, fast quarterback, or just bring that same quarterback over? Like I never understood why that was a thing. That's like saying, well, Saban, the only reason he had success at Alabama is because he always filled a staff with really good coaches, and he had the best players in the country, and he got a lot of support from the fans. I'm like, yeah, that was the whole premise that we built this thing on. That's like saying, I don't want to have dinner with Curtis because the only reason it's going to be a good dinner is because he's going to have good vibes, good conversation. We like, it's like, that's why we're doing it. It's like, why would that dissuade me? He only won because he raised a ton of money and brought in great players. That's exactly the job we're asking him to do. So if he's good at that, then cool. That is interesting to me, but I'm with you where I'm like, that's not a good reason to dissuade me, is telling me that he raised a bunch of money at Memphis. It's like, I'm actually interested in that.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a good little segue because I know we'll get to your chats. We may just make the heavy hitters our chatters for hanging out with us at this point in time, because there's a lot to get to. But this will be the final clip that we play. This is actually about Ryan Silverfield and talking about him being a fundraiser, because that was the deal when he was at Memphis. Him being a fundraiser, he's what he had to say as his possible role fundraising here at Arkansas.
Listen, first off, we know as a head coach, you have to wear every hat, right? Whether that's picking up trash, whether that's being a CEO and fundraising, whether that's getting my hands in the dirt and teaching a lineman, make sure they're stepping the right direction. But that was part of something that I took pride in. I understand the way college football is going, right? Towards the NFL model, all these things, but you still always have to fundraise. I don't care if you're a head high school coach in Savannah, Georgia, or the head coach of Arkansas. That's part of what is needed. And until they say, hey, we're just going to play for free, I don't know if, and we're not playing with monopoly money, there's always going to be the need for fundraising. And so I told them, and I told his staff already, it's my job to help assist that. And, we can do that first and foremost by winning football games, but I'm happy to go knock on doors, to go meet some of these people. And I think part of that is just building the relationship, right? I can't wait for so many of our great fans, so many of our great donors, so many people that have already stepped up and said, hey, I want to help out. But just building those relationships and let them understand what I'm all about, what our young men are all about, who they truly are. And that's what's been so special to me. Like you sit there and you have a narrative of coaches, of what you think they are and who they're about. You have a narrative of what you think of a program and the players. And then I have the opportunity to sit down with them face to face and get to know them and get, to tell that story. And that helps the fundraising as well. And I can't wait to develop so many of those relationships. But yes, long-winded answer. That was part of what I did at Memphis. And we're going to go to it full force here.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I'll say this. This was one of my favorite clips that he had to say, because I'm not naming names, but there were certain coaches that may not want to do this thing. They don't want to shake hands and kiss babies. They don't want to politic. They just want to coach. And that's fine if it works. But I like having a coach that recognizes that there is a lot of things in this more so than just coaching football. And if it requires you to do those things, you're going to do it. You may not that may not be your favorite. You may be one that likes to sit there and do film rather than go out and socialize. That's fine. But you have to understand that it's still part of it. It's still part of what you have to do. You have to, kiss the right rear ends to get that money in, because that money is what's going to be a huge benefit to you. So to me, I love the fact that he understands that. I love the fact that he's willing to do it. And I love the fact that he is already recognizing that right off the jump.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll name names. Sam Pittman pissed and moaned about this part of the job the entire time he was here, once NIL became a thing. And what was he saying? Oh, thank God for Remy. I'll send him down the hall to Remy. I don't have those conversations. Sometimes I come across as the bad guy. I can't handle that now. And then you got Ryan Silverfield in here, who's like the exact opposite approach. In fact, he's almost like, hey, Hunter, if you can't do your job and raise the funds, I will assist and I'll step in and do it myself. That's great. I like that. He understands the assignment. Yes, you have to wear multiple hats. Everyone, like coaching at any level, it's like 90% everything else and 10% actually being out there with your team and coaching them up. Everybody knows that. So I like what he had to say there, man. I really do. I've seen a lot of people in the chat that have been mentioning his wife, the first lady of Razorback Football, that she's a lobbyist or a fundraiser. I don't know what her exact title is or whatever, but maybe she assisted in some of that stuff at Memphis. I don't know, but hey, politicking, man, you got to do what you got to do there. So I really, really liked what he had to say right there. If there was some, skepticism and we got to do a lot of reading between the lines and are you glass half full or half empty, grain of salt type of stuff with everything Hunter Yurachek had to say about that, because we have had our experiences with him. Ryan Silverfield actually made me feel a little bit better about the situation by his approach. He's not sweating him because he knows if he's got to go out there and do it himself, he will. So I like that.
I think my favorite part, and I don't know favorite because it's not like I have this long list, but it's just like the thing that makes me okay with this whole situation and makes me excited about Silverfield. He looks at Arkansas and he sees an opportunity. He's the head coach of Memphis. He sees the Arkansas job and says, man, I want to be there. I want to be there, and I think that's an opportunity to turn something around. He sees Arkansas's record this year. He sees that as an opportunity to flip that. He sees that as an opportunity to clean up some mistakes. He sees Arkansas's turnover problems, and he sees that as something that he can clean up. He sees that as something he even spoke about it today, a plan of how he can actually clean that up. He also sees the financial situation. He sees that as an opportunity to win. And Golish, by the way, spoke about this. I know I'm talking about Golish a lot, but he spoke about this in his Auburn press conference that as a head football coach at any level, it's a never-ending flow of competition, and you're competing and you're trying to win every way. There's those competition that goes on of how do you implement your run game scheme against their defense? How do you, get the pass sets to work? How do you get your route tree to attack their defensive coverage? Like, there's a never-ending list of battles, and it's battles in recruiting. Every single coach on your staff, you have to compete to get them with other schools. In NIL, you have to do that. And as a head coach, if you're going to be a head coach at this level, one, you have to be prepared to be in those battles, but you have to understand that's what we're doing here. And I ultimately, like you brought up Sam Pittman, I don't think he truly got out of bed every morning and was like, man, I'm thrilled to be competing at the highest level with the best coaches in the country, and here's my opportunity to shove it to them. I think there was a lot of like, crap, this sucks that I have to do this. Dang it, I have to get on a plane and go to Hot Springs and call the Hogs. This sucks. And I think there was a lot of that woe is me, and your players know that. You go into your coach's office and you start having a money conversation and he's openly dissatisfied and openly, like he said, doesn't want to have the conversation. Your players see that. And they go out on the field. They feel unprepared. They feel undisciplined. They see they have 15 penalties. They realize that their coach put them in that situation. And I think it's very important as a head coach to understand you're constantly in battle. And I think that's a very important tone to set for your program. And I appreciate, at least right now, that Ryan Silverfield appears to understand that and say that publicly.
Yeah. Again, his wife is also going back to that point. Yeah, she's got lobbyists, of course, dealing with that, but a lot of financial background as well. So it's like these are the things that could really, who knows, maybe play a factor into it. But the point is like, again, you want a coach that is going to do whatever it takes to win, whatever it takes. And that's usually the best type of coaches. If it means going out there, if you're a baseball coach, to mow the lawn and keep the grass good to go on your own field, you're going to do it. If it means that you are going to go above and beyond and having to talk to people you don't like in order to just, grin through the rage that you have, you're going to do it. That's one of my favorite thing that he said today, because that just shows me that he's like willing to go above and beyond to make sure that he does whatever it takes to win.
One thing I forgot to bring up the other day, I know guys know I've been getting the most out of my Hogs Plus membership, but I remember Silverfield was walking through the facility, and he was saying when he was at Memphis, they made a very big point to always change one thing, something that every time a former player comes back to the program, they need to see, oh crap, this is different. This is different than when I was here. Like you always see that with players that played in the 90s or whatever. Oh, this is very different. And I think that speaks to that mindset of you have to be constantly evolving, constantly changing. And I appreciate that he seems to take a lot of pride in that specific aspect of the job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we'll get to your chats, folks. Really appreciate everyone tuning in with us. It's been great. And so as part of that, we're going to make all of you, as a reward, our heavy hitters here, presented by HD Roofing and Construction, because we know that storms can hit unexpectedly here in the state of Arkansas, no matter what, when it comes to the ice, when it comes to the snow, when it comes to the rain, when it comes to the winds. There's a lot of damage that could be done to your roof. But how many often do you get up there and you actually check out your roof? Probably not very often, right? Because you don't want to hurt yourself. You think it says everything's just hunky-dory. Well, don't do that. Have a free inspection. Get that peace of mind with HD Roofing and Construction, because they're going to have that professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for all of your roofing needs. And they have a new office there in Northwest Arkansas. So if you're wanting to get that free inspection, call the Northwest Arkansas office at 479-957-1928. Or if you're in the Central Arkansas area, you can have them check out your and inspect your roof for free at 501-428-0429. Also have the website at hdarkansas.com. It's HD Roofing and Construction, part of our heavy hitters here on Inside Arkansas. So appreciate all of you tuning in. I know it's unorthodox. Don't worry, we'll be back to your regular scheduled program tomorrow. I hope we have enough to talk about tomorrow at noon. But we're going to be back at it.
Show in what? How many hours is it? Like 17 hours?
Something like that. Yeah, it sounds right. So we'll be back, though. We'll have plenty to talk about. But super chats, always get read first. Still know the rules. Appreciate all of y'all. But Heartbroken Hog starts, says, my favorite thing about Ryan Silverfield is I believe that he believes he can win at Arkansas, hoping to see where we are really in the top half of the SEC in staff pool.
Like Ted Lasso, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to believe. You got to get that sleigh to fly. There's only one way to get that sleigh to fly, and that's if you believe. Y'all seen Elf? I know y'all seen it.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there a magician? Was it like Chris Angel that was always like, you got to believe, or just like believe? I don't know if that was him or not, but I felt like that was another thing I thought about. A lot of people like to use the whole believe thing. Apparently it's a big deal. Let's see. Also, Cody, shout out to him for super chases. Maybe I'm weird, but why was there no new fan collective presented? CRS and 100-year check want money, but as fans have no means to do so.
Another reason I'm skeptical.
Yeah. So this kind of goes into the whole thing. I believe that there will be a collective, a new one announced, but when, I have no clue. And why it hasn't been announced yet, I have no clue. I'd like to sit here and think it, but to your point, Curtis, it's like, shoot, man, this could have been a great time to do it. Right now, just whoa, with all the excitement surrounding it, would have been a great time.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into a big rant about it.
Right.
If you were going to do it right when you hire your coach, or the day he's doing his press conference, when everybody's fired up and all in, and believe, like, there he is, like, that's his slogan, right? All in. And you have an opportunity to capitalize on that and get people when they're excited and feeling optimistic and everything like that. And it just hasn't happened. And that's going to be a big part of this. Now, I know there's some belief from the administration that collectives are not real. Like, they're these mythical entities there that you're not allowed to use, and you can't break a rule or whatever, but everybody's doing it. And I'm pretty sure that they have plans of doing it too. I don't know why that's not a thing yet.
Yeah. This is a perfect microcosm of why I'm not saying that like some people are just straight up lying to your face, but it's like the truth lies somewhere not in reality what we're talking about right now. We all three agree that like if you're going to really improve, like if you wanted to go from 12th in the SEC to 2nd in the SEC, it wouldn't come through a fan collective, right? Like that's not going to move the needle that much. It'll help, and you want fans to be able to donate, but that's not going to what drives your program. So while I acknowledge that and realize that Arkansas can improve their situation without a fan collective, Hunter keeps using the term legitimate NIL. He keeps hammering that home, and he never will say NIL. He always says legitimate NIL. Well, isn't legitimate NIL like your fan collective and, the thing that people donate, and you at least have something there? Because again, we all agree that's not really going to move the needle, but like you at least need to be doing that song and dance so your fans can support you. But if you don't have that, what is this quote unquote? Where is that legitimate NIL coming from? If not going to be from a collective? I understand there's other ways you can do it. I understand you can, do the advertisement and legitimate, companies actually pay these kids for their services and all that. But it's like, if you're going to really try to move the needle in the SEC, it's got to be that third lane. I don't know why we're even publicly saying we're not doing the third lane.
Yeah.
And also not doing a fan collective. You can't not do the third lane and not do the fan collective.
I've seen some people, to your point there about that third lane, who are saying, well, like if that's technically like on the slide or whatever, or you're not supposed to do it, even though everybody does it. It would be foolish or not prudent of an athletic director to bring it up. He brought it up. Like, he's the one that coined the third lane phrase anyway. And he even said, like, I don't know, maybe we need to get into that. And that was the media nailed it today. That was one question, though, that I wish could have been asked. Like, hey, remember that third lane of yours? What do you think about it now? Maybe you can't really do the thing of like, are you in it? Are you funneling money?
Are you cheating?
Yeah, exactly. But you could say, like, how has your stance evolved on that third lane throughout this coaching search, knowing, the gravity of this hire and what you're trying to do with this program? Maybe we'll get an opportunity to talk to him one day and I'll ask him the damn question. But that's one thing there that I'm with you. You have to operate there or you are going to get left behind. And it's just a fact, man. It just is what it is.
Well, and the same thing with the Silverfield thing. I think we brought it up. I know I have, but it's just like, if you're Silverfield and, your athletic director has made it known that he's not going to get in the third lane that all these other SEC teams are in or just teams in general, then how do you expect to compete with those teams if you already are at a major disadvantage of something you're not wanting to do? Like, that, did you know that going in? Like, did you know it's like when you accepted the job, that's like, I know that we are going to do things the right way, but we're going to do things that's going to put me at a disadvantage and it's going to be tougher to win. Like, I'd be curious to know about what that expectation was set by them. So, let's see. At Tuna's house, appreciate Super Chase goes, I like Silver Fox. Upper half of SEC, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's kind of what we were.
I feel you.
It's okay to be skeptical of it. It's 100% okay.
I don't even think we can call him a Silver Fox. He's not old enough,
No.
There's some salt and pepper in there, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. What's going to be the best nickname? I'm wondering what will be the best nickname for him. Like, and I mean, we don't need to start it now. Just saying, like, if he maybe gets a few wins in his belt or something. But
I like the idea of y'all ever seen the movie Silver Linings Playbook?
Yeah.
Yes.
I could see him photoshopped on Jennifer Lawrence's face.
Yeah. There you go. That'll get everybody fired up.
I've seen a lot of people doing the Coors Light train, the silver bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. I know Sam liked him in Old Coors, but it works a little bit too. So there's opportunities to be had out there.
Yeah. Anytime you can make a coach's nickname or anyone's nickname be related to a good old beer, then I think you always got to go with that. And it has to happen. Shout out to Chris for a super chat. Appreciate it. Says, I hope he flips our boosters like he has the players and makes an impact in the transfer portal. High hopes, boys.
Hope so
Totally,
too, man.
Yeah, totally think that's we're all hopeful for that. We're all hopeful that it's gonna, transpire that way and go all according to plan with no issues whatsoever, and it really truly gets better. But but I also understand Razorback fans, which I know a lot of them are saying, hey, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. And that's the right way to look at it. Shout out to our guy Hayden. Says, love that our King Lassiter is back, but not sure why we recruited a punter and long snapper when Maddox could do both. That's a good point.
Agreed.
Good
Yeah,
point.
I mean,
we do need a punter, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Why did I think? I must have made something up. Maybe I was thinking of somebody saying that they were going after a punter, but either way, it doesn't matter.
If Ocho Cinco can kick extra points, then Maddox Lassiter can punt. He'll be just fine.
Yeah, he'll make it work. Shout out to Jackson. He says, Quincy Systems makes me thinkage. Oh gosh. Quincy Systems makes me think we are getting a good DC. It's hard to pass up on being drafted first to third round. The money helps it, but it makes you think.
So I've seen a lot of people taking Quincy Rhodes' announcement and saying, oh, this must mean blank. And I think that's fair because, again, we all knew he was going to get drafted. We knew there was money on the table from the NFL. And so it's very reasonable to assume, okay, he must be getting some type of compensation, some convincing, whatever. And I definitely think Quincy Rhodes is getting a bag. Like, we all agree about that. But I think it also is possible that a kid who's from the state of Arkansas who, maybe didn't even go into this year thinking he was going to this would be his last year of college. I think it's possible that he maybe took a hometown discount. And I think it's also possible that him just wanting to be a Razorback factored in here. I'm not sitting here to say, hey, he loves the logo and he'd play for free. He doesn't care about the NFL. I don't know if necessarily Quincy Rhodes is the guy I'd point to and say, oh, the only way he'd be at Arkansas is if X, Y, and Z happened. I'm sure maybe X and Y happened, but I don't know about Z. I don't know if he necessarily got all these assurances and he knows exactly who's on staff. I think it's possible that he just wanted to play for the Razorbacks one more year.
I don't know what it is about DNs, like not leaving after their junior year. Like Landon Jackson, Trey Flowers. You guys remember Trey Flowers came back after his 2013. Everyone's like, why? Is there something about, being a Razorback and being a D end, a high quality NFL D end, and that just makes you want to stick around. Shout out to our guy Hayden once again. Super chat. He says, where can the average fan give money? I thought surely they'd launch something today about that. I want to pay enough to buy a stud closer's pinky for Dave. Well, I think, listen, once they announce it, and when they announce it, we'll of course talk about it and get into it. But I'm just telling you right now, man, guys, if we get into spring practice and whatnot, and there's nothing, then I guess there's just nothing. It's like it gets to that point. Because you guys remember when they launched the Arkansas Edge, Bobby Petrino got hired as the OC, and it was the Duke basketball game, like all in one, because they understood you got to ride the excitement. I thought that would be something, but who knows? Maybe once they hire the staff, or maybe once they get one of these big transfer portal classes, maybe that's when it'll be announced. I don't know, but we'll see, and we'll keep you updated on it. Really appreciate all the super chats here. Sofer just says, it can't get any worse than 2-10. Wound Pig Suey all in. Well, it can, but
technically,
I get it though. Not, yeah, that's also another thing. Going to your Quincy Rhodes point, I was like, I'm hoping that maybe he's just like, I don't want to end my career in college going 2-10 and over. Like that's pretty rough.
I always think it's powerful. Like for instance, if you are a baseball player who's going into your junior year and you're draft eligible, and you assume you're going to sign, it's really hard to play out. Even if the year plays out to where you shouldn't sign, if you went into that year thinking it was going to be your final college year, it's really hard to get off of that. I think the opposite is true. Like in August, do you think Quincy Rhodes was sitting there thinking, man, I'm going to be out of here in 4 months? I'm going to be a first round. He ended up having a great year, and I'm sure he believed in himself and thought he was going to have a good year. I don't think Quincy Rhodes went into his junior year thinking it would be his last year of Razorback football. And so I think, honestly, I think it's possible, not saying that he just came for free. I'm really not saying that. But I do think, there's something in Quincy Rhodes' heartstrings that are factoring in here a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I hope he has a big year, man. I hope he's just a monster up front, because as I've always said, defense, you want players that are across the board on every position, but there's just something about having a dominant DN that just changes the whole game, man. Just changes it all.
I want to caution everybody already to not do the thing that most of you did with Landon Jackson, which is, Quincy Rhodes commands double teams the entire season and doesn't get 19 sacks, and then you call him a bum.
Yes.
Can we just avoid that, please? I know, man.
I will bet my life right now that Arkansas fans turn on Quincy Rhodes less than 4 games into the year. I will guarantee that.
We fought that battle daily for Landon Jackson last year, and it is.
That's my thing too. And I'm like, okay, you're right. You're the one that's right, Razorback fan. Not the NFL scouts that drafted him 3rd round. They were all just they didn't even look at his stat sheet. They didn't understand that he sucked. It's like, sometimes you may just have
to vote on all SEC teams. They were full of it too.
Right. It's in most cases, it's about the numbers and stats. Like D-end might be one of the few where it's not actually about just simply like, sacks. If there's a stat to see how many times you commanded a double team, I think that would tell a huge story. All right, shout out to our guy Quinn. Got a few super chats here. Appreciate you, Quinn. He says, Hunter Yurchek talking about a legitimate NIL. If you aren't pushing the limits, you're going to stay where you are. Arkansas is the only team in this conference not pushing the limit.
You're correct, Quinn.
Yep. If you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
Man.
I hope Quinn can clear it up for me. I saw a thing today about some kid that committed to Auburn yesterday. He committed to Auburn over North Alabama and Hampton College.
Really? Is that true?
That's what I heard on Twitter. I don't know for a fact, but seems like there's a lot of 3-stars putting pen to paper with Auburn.
Quinn, while you're here, and since I know that the tenor of today's show, we're an hour and a half in, I just want to congratulate you on that win in the SEC ACC Challenge. You guys beat the Fighting Will Wades, and shout out to Arkansas and Auburn for carrying the league, carrying the water for the league. That's the reason the SEC won the dadgum challenge.
Quinn, since I just said a mean comment, one, thanks for this other super chat. I also want to apologize to Stephen Pearl because I was very mean to him, and he has since done a really good job.
It's not true. Quinn's calling. See, this is what Andrew does. Andrew bullies Quinn into super chats. Like he's the only guy that'll get bullied into super chats. That's Andrew's bit. But no, we love you, Quinn. Appreciate it. He also says, like here at Auburn, the money isn't the issue. Money was already set. Goalish didn't have to fundraise. Money in place is in place for the roster retention and portal, which is again 1,000% true. And that's why during the whole coaching search, it was a matter of kind of kept hearing reports about Arkansas's financial situation, like going in, one coach, one school would offer a coach an entire like package of here's what you get. In other cases, like for Arkansas, they're kind of like, we're working towards it. It's like, well, I'll get there. It's like, all right. Well, I like to have a little bit more insurances here. Also have some new members. So shout out to Sofer, who gifted an Inside Arkansas membership.
Nice.
Well, our guy, Garrett McCollum. I don't know if this is him getting gifted it or if he just became one, but our guy, Garrett, appreciate you.
Good to see it. You do enough. Thank you.
Yeah,
but it's good.
Logan, our guy, Logan, 7 months, says Woo Pig. Appreciate
Good to see Logan last night.
Bro, Logan was on top of the world last night, man.
I didn't get to see Logan. I'm sorry, Logan. We didn't
Good to hang out with Logan.
How'd you miss him? He's a big old donkey.
Yeah, I know. Well, I guess he was too busy fangirling over 3J Wagner. He had a 3 yesterday. So
Logan, famously, this is crazy because it is possible to do. Drove from Central Arkansas, made it to Northwest Arkansas for a early tip midweek basketball game. And it's like Cal said, it's not easy. It's not easy to do. But he made the decision. He did it. He grinded it out for the boys.
Hey,
good job.
My buddies Brendan and Devin did the same thing.
There we go.
Drove up from Central Arkansas from Little Rock, and we drove back last night. And they're still idiots. What's up?
Not shaming anybody who doesn't do that, but definitely a shout out to those who can and do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly right. You get a gold star if you do that. That's it.
Yeah.
Shout out to our guy. This is Dylan, right? I think it's because all the usernames. So. Yeah, Witty, if you will. Witty.
I was gonna say, we don't call him Dylan, but yeah.
Yeah. But he says, anyone notice Curtis channeling his inner Hunter Yurchek saying 6'7" on pod at the Fouls Report card episode? Adorable. Did you do that?
Okay. Well, the morning of the game, I did it twice, completely incidental. But I catch, you can't not catch yourself when it happens now. And then I caught myself in the moment last night doing it because with basketball, it's tough, right? Because this dude's 6'7". Oh, that's how tall he is. But then you gotta, so it's like 3 times in the last 24 hours that I've done it, and I'm disgusted with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologize.
Well, when I think it was when Arkansas scored 67 points last night, where I was sitting, there were some kids around, and they were just doing this like as fast as they could, and then some guy that was like literally standing behind me, I guess he saw it over there, and he goes, "I'm going to murder them." I was like, "Okay, well, it's a fair assessment."
Word on the street is Hunter Yurchek did it for the student section, so
it's brutal. Stop, man. Shout out to Trill Nye for becoming a new YouTube member. So
related to the science guy or no?
I hope so. His picture, he looks like he could.
Shout out to the safety there.
Safety.
Yeah. You always got to wear your vest.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. I was thinking football safety. I'm like, am I missing something here? Sorry. It's just football in the mind. Yeah. I was like, is there one name, Matt? I don't know. Shout out to our guy, Walter Christmas Lighting becomes a YouTube member. So
I saw him inquiring about how to do it, and they had to talk him through it a little bit, but good to see.
You've done enough, but we're glad you're here too.
Absolutely. Really appreciate everybody being a part of this late night. I guess it says late night. It's 8 o'clock. It's not like it's not like we're here in midnight going an all nighter. So Tuna's House says, can y'all start the Inside Arkansas Fan Collective? Listen, I'll just speak from my perspective. I have been researching for, over a year now of ways to do something like this, because I think it's a matter of having everyone win in the situation. It's difficult. There are some hoops to go through, but we've also had a lot of other things to take care of. That's a lot more important to start. But who knows? Maybe that's in the wings at some point in time. But as of right now, no, not at this point.
I can't even keep Discord under control right now.
Yeah.
The biggest question I would have if we were to start a collective, the big question we would have to answer is, how do we get the money to the University of Arkansas, who does not like us? That's the question we would have to figure out. And I think for anyone that is going to start a collective or has already started a collective, you need to really have that part figured out of how are you going to give the money to the U of A. You can't just walk up with a bag of cash. I wish it worked that way, but you cannot just walk up with a bag of cash and leave it at the Broyle Center.
Yeah, exactly right. Quinn says, y'all's win was big. I thought we'd win handedly. Having 20 turnovers made it harder. Kentucky sucks. Well, I do agree with all that.
I do think that NC State win is going to age really well still.
Yeah,
honestly, I think it actually almost makes me more impressed with Auburn that they were able to win and pretty much lead the entire time of a game where they really didn't even play that well.
Yep. William has become a member. Appreciate you, William. Thank you so much. Quinn again. Yeah. Quinn again. Auburn, Bammer, Arkansas, and Vandy will be competing for the SEC regular season championship.
They look like the best four to me right now.
Yeah.
I like that.
Vandy's Vanderbilt, man. Like, they haven't played that super, top 10 team. Like, they haven't played a Duke or a Michigan State or a Louisville yet. But like, they played St. Mary's and they beat them by 30. And they played VCU, who everybody knows about, and they beat them by double digits. They played SMU and they ran them off the floor last night. Like, those dudes they're balling. They'll come back down to earth a little bit in league play, but good grief, man.
Yeah. Hey, you can only win the games in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's see. Just a few more chats here too, folks, because we're going to get out of here soon. Don't want to give away all of our stuff for tomorrow because you got to have you tune back in. But Samuel says, Curtis, if I had $1 for every time Silverfield said listen or look, I could buy multiple turkeys and sides from Blue Ember Smokehouse.
He does, but here's what I appreciated about it, because sometimes you need a second to get your thoughts together. And so you put in those little cue words like that. Listen, look, as Nick Saban would do. So you get a lot of those that are mixed in there. I just appreciated that, he wasn't up there just reading directly off of a sheet of paper or, cue cards or whatever. Like, it was pretty much authentic there. He might have had a couple little bullet points or something written down, but that's fine. Like, go up there and riff and you don't come across as a bumbling idiot, then that's great. So, but I did notice some of that. Here's my only thing with Silverfield. This is not a bad thing, but just I noticed, because ever since he said the deal about I got a lot of quirks and you'll figure them out, when we were at the public ceremony, the little celebration thing, and he was giving his speech there, he was having a hard time figuring out, okay, when do I need to strategically pause, because I don't know when people are going to applaud. And so sometimes he would get surprised by that, and the crowd would start to applaud, and he'd just be like, and he'd do it too, like, oh yeah, okay. So that kind of cracked me up. But again, it came across as genuine. You know what I mean? Like, there's an authenticity to him that I appreciate, and he did a good job.
Well, I can say this. I don't think we have to worry about, like, say if there was a certain phrase that he had and then we had some fun with it and named a podcast after it. I don't think he'd be the type that would freak out and get mad and not use that phrase anymore because we made a podcast out of it.
Inside Arkansas Football is going to get revamped, baby.
That's right. We're back. All in podcast.
Yes.
So that's already taken, though.
To that point, though, John, because, when we did the Pod of That Nature podcast, we didn't do it like as a, like, we thought it was stupid, that like we just were like, hey, Pittman says this a lot, so let's make it a thing. And I think he viewed it as a negative thing. And I think Samuel had a laughing emoji. I don't think he was making fun of Silverfield, but I have noticed people do get bothered when people repeat phrases. Like, I see people get on us all the time. Whether it's Curtis saying electric or me saying two things can be true or whatever, but people really do not like when people repeat themselves. That's something that the general public is not a fan of.
Yeah. I don't care if you win. So it's all that matters. A couple here too. I didn't have this clip, but it was a good one. It's like Brad's like, did you hear what Hunter said about Silverfield's agent? Yeah. When he was,
and Sam Pittman's agent, which was interesting.
Yeah. Because they were asking him about I guess it was Hutch had asked him about the contract structure, which was very different from Sam Pittman. He was like, the buyout. Yeah. It was like, hey, well, have you evolved or have you changed your mind? Like, why'd you get involved this way? And he's like, well, basically, and his, not verbatim, but basically was like, yeah, so, Ryan Silverfield has a real agent that is a ball buster that we had to make work. And then Sam Pittman just had somebody that was just happy he was there. So it was like pretty much
how a girl to the woodshed. He couldn't get away with that with the other guy. So
not at all. Not at all. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we get out of here for tonight?
Good day. I'm happy with what we saw. And I'm glad we waited to do this until tonight to get the full effect of everything. I did think, the ceremony was short and everything like that, but it was cool. They had the lights and the smoke and everything. It was a nice setup and it was well received, but it feels good to have a level of optimism and, happiness as a Razorback fan again, doesn't it? And, we got that with the Razorback basketball team with that huge win. Like, you just get that reminder of what Bud Walton Arena is capable of. And it was rocking. It just felt like a vintage game. And that was good for my soul. And so was today. It really is. I feel like we can finally kind of turn that page from all that nonsense and wanted to get that stench away from the program. And I feel like we're slowly starting to do that. And there's a long way to go. They got to figure a lot of things out, and money, blah, blah, blah. But so far, so good for Ryan Silverfield. And I'm really looking forward to where this goes here moving forward.
I keep coming back to this clean slate aspect of this that I think just excites me. And it honestly is refreshing, because I think the weight of our existence as fans, I mean, however old you are, I'm 27, you guys are 53 each, everyone kind of has their own experience. And that always is in the back of your mind. When you've seen your team suck, when you've seen your team lose, you carry that with you into every game you watch. And we all watch Razorback games. We're like, oh crap, are they going to do the thing they always do again? And so I understand why that kind of dominates our everyday mental thoughts and dominates our discourse of we're cursed by the past and cursed by the ghosts of our Christmas past losses and all that. But I do think that's what's so exciting about the Silverfield era is it doesn't mean that losing's over and we're never going to lose again and it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows here. But I like that, hey, this guy's been the head coach for 4 days, and here's what we have to evaluate in those 4 days. And a lot of it's good, a lot of it's fun, a lot of it's exciting. Enjoy that while we can, because eventually one day, spoiler, he's going to lose a game or two. And we're going to be upset and we're going to be mad about it. But I think there's something to be said about just living in these moments now, enjoying the process, and talking about it reasonably with us, which is what we do here on this show. But I hope everyone's enjoying this time period where you get to just kind of exhale as a fan and smell the roses a little bit, enjoy that basketball win. You get another one Saturday. It's a good time to be a hog, as always.
Yep. Just enjoy it while it's lasting, and we're going to have it all right here. But before we get out of here, just had a couple chats that just popped up. One, I just like this from Hickory Hog, because he's like all inside Arkansas football podcast. So I was like, thank you. Appreciate it. But also shout out to John Matthews. He says, nice meeting you tonight. Yeah. And good meeting you too, John. And it was funny because, and this is not like, hopefully you don't mind me sharing this, John, but it's walking by, and this John, he just looks up at me and he just goes, dude, John Neighbors. I was like, yeah. John. It's like, cool, great. So, but it was good meeting you too, man. But it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we're going to have it all right here. So, I mean, we got coaching staff that has to be assembled. We have portals. So we have recruiting. I mean, there's going to be everything going on with this Razorback football team. And we're going to have it right here at Inside Arkansas. But not only just football, we have basketball with Pot the Palace, of course, going strong. We're going to have recruiting with Dudley. He's going to be on top of it. I know we did a live stream today at noon, and there'll be a lot more of those to come. So a lot of content, a lot of fun, a lot of great things to be a part of. So be sure you're a part of Inside Arkansas by subscribing to us here on YouTube. You can check out our social media on Inside Arkansas, and you can check out all of our audio podcasts wherever podcasts are found. And that'll do it for us tonight. For Curtis Wilkerson, Andrew Ellis, intern Cameron, John Neighbors, same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you then.